Yeah, I mean, we did searches for all the positions, and the candidates that rose to the top were females. I mean, we want to include men too. We very much a fan of men, but just how it happened, the people that were most skilled for these positions were women. The nice thing it provides is this group is very collaborative, very intentional, and we're all very passionate about building the tech and biotech sectors, very passionate about entrepreneurs. Just being really intentional on how we can wrap our arms around this ecosystem and help to grow it.
She is a digital marketing specialist who can spin the meanest website around.
And he's host of the TV show Buzz, which features nonprofit organizations receiving marketing makeovers.
Here on Buzz for Good, we talk all things nonprofit, the people they serve and the good they do.
And we talk to creative professionals and provide marketing tips and tools to help your nonprofit achieve more.
That's right.
Buzz!
Well, greetings, everybody, and welcome to Buzz for Good, our radio show that features nonprofit organizations and the great work that they do throughout Southwest Virginia, as well as the marketing professionals who donate their time and talent to help these nonprofits achieve more buzz. I am Michael Hemphill, creator and host of the TV show Buzz that airs on Blue Ridge PBS, as well as this radio show Buzz for Good, and I am joined here by my good friend Carrie Cousins. Carrie, take it away.
Hi, I'm Carrie Cousins. I'm the Director of Digital Marketing at Lead Point Digital here in Roanoke and the past president of AAF Roanoke that serves all advertising professionals in the region.
And Carrie, I've got a little bit of a surprise for you pertaining to the work that you have done on the advertising side, helping a nonprofit in our region. So episode 1 of Buzz, the TV show, first aired almost exactly 2 years ago now in August 5th of 2020.
Time flies.
Time does fly. And on that episode, we featured Southwest Virginia Ballet, and you starred in the show helping Southwest Virginia Ballet with a new logo and a new website. Well, a week ago, I got a phone call from the interim executive director of the ballet. Her name is Megan Potter, and she informed me that they recently got a call from someone with the Richmond Speedway. The Richmond Speedway is starting to incorporate nonprofits, especially arts and cultural nonprofits, in their pre-race activities. And lo and behold, as they were searching for a nonprofit to feature during their pre-race show, they Googled and found your website that you had created for Southwest Virginia Ballet. It looked so spectacular, they figured, well, this nonprofit must know what they're doing. They reached out to them, and now Southwest Virginia Ballet is going to be performing pre-race at the Richmond Speedway sometime in August.
Oh, that's super cool.
So all because of you, and I'll take a little credit for bringing y'all two together for the TV show Buzz.
And maybe we give them a little credit for being so good at what they do.
Well, we probably should as well. Anyway, so I thought that was really cool. So kudos to you for all your work helping nonprofits. Speaking of nonprofits, we've got a lot to feature today. In our opening clip, you heard from Erin Burcham, who's the president of Verge and the executive director of the Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council. I chatted with her earlier this week, along with Lisa Garcia, the director of RAMP, our region's business accelerator, about all the work that they are doing to enhance our region's entrepreneurial ecosystem. We're also talking today with Nikki Voudrin, who is the executive director of Mill Mountain Zoo. We featured Mill Mountain Zoo on episode 3 of our TV show Buzz. And this summer, Mill Mountain Zoo is celebrating its 70th birthday.
Well, I didn't realize the zoo had been in Roanoke that long. That's a pretty big deal.
Yep, 1952. I think it started out mostly kind of as a little carnival attraction on top of the Mill Mountain. And now it's just what they build themselves is more like a wildlife refuge. What was your first Mill Mountain Zoo experience?
I think I went to Mill Mountain Zoo as a kid.
Right.
I remember a train and I remember animals. I can't confirm that it was Mill Mountain Zoo, but I lived close enough to hear that I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, they probably not a lot of options around here. So
right, there aren't many zoos to choose from in this part of the state.
That's true. Now, before we get to our conversations, I invite you to 3 of our upcoming events, all free and open to the public. This Wednesday, July 27th at 7 p.m., our newest episode of Buzz airs on Blue Ridge PBS. That evening at 6:30, we are hosting a watch party at the Grandin Theater. This episode is about the healing arts and arts and cultural organizations that are involved in providing the healing arts. And this episode is being produced in collaboration with Carilion Clinic, the Roanoke Cultural Endowment, and the City of Roanoke. So whether you are tuning in at home at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, July 27th, or with us at our watch party at the Grandin Theater, we hope that you will join us. The following week on August the 3rd at 4 p.m., Buzz is celebrating the start of our third season with a Buzz happy hour at Old Salem Brewery on the Roanoke Market. $1 per beer goes towards the production of future episodes. So please come join us August 3rd, Wednesday, 4 p.m. at the Old Salem Brewery in downtown Roanoke on the Market Street for our Buzz happy hour. And then the following week, August 10th at 7 p.m., we kick off our third season of Buzz with an hour-long episode on Blue Ridge PBS starring the Grandin Theater Film Lab. The night before, on August 9th at 6:30 p.m., we will be hosting another watch party at the Grandin Theater to get a sneak peek of that episode. You can find out more about these events on our website, buzzforgood.com. That's buzz, B-U-Z-Z, 4, good.com, as well as our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Buzz for Good. Now, to start today's show, I want to share with you a conversation I had earlier this week with the leaders of Verge. And Verge is the nonprofit that houses the Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council and RAMP. And if you're not familiar with these organizations, they are absolutely vital in helping technology entrepreneurs in the Roanoke and New River Valleys accelerate their startup businesses. And also they provide established companies just a wealth of networking and support to grow their businesses. We also talk about the significance of an organization like Verge that works alongside traditionally male-dominated tech companies whose leadership is all women. Aaron, Lisa, Taylor, thank you all so much for coming here on Buzz for Good and talking about Verge and Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council and RAMP. To get things started, how about each of you just introduce yourself and your title so that our listeners can go ahead and start connecting voices with personalities.
Sure. Thank you for having us. I'm Erin Burcham, President of Verge and Executive Director of the Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council.
Hi, I'm Lisa Garcia, and I am the Director of RAMP and the Vice President of Entrepreneurial Development for Verge.
Taylor Spellman, Associate Director for the Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council, or RBTC.
Love it. Well, thank you all so much again for having me here at the Gill Memorial Building in downtown Roanoke, home of Verge and Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council and RAMP. You also have some location in Blacksburg and the Corporate Research Center. So, Buzz for Good radio show that is all about nonprofit organizations. And when people think about nonprofits, they probably typically think, I know I do, about Ram House and a homeless shelter or a food pantry or Mill Mountain Theater, Mill Mountain Zoo, arts and culture, these kinds of things. But you guys are all involved with technology companies and small business development and growing their kind of a entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Southwest Virginia. People don't associate that with a nonprofit. So how are you guys a nonprofit or affiliated with a nonprofit?
Sure. Yeah, we're looking at ways to elevate the technology and biotech sectors across the Roanoke region and the New River Valley. So working with lots of different partners in the region. We are the only technology accelerator that is partnered with the Technology Council in the state of Virginia. So we're unique in that aspect of pulling in entrepreneurs on, from a great idea, coaching them to be ready for our RAMP, our accelerator, through alumni status of our accelerator and working with our tech council. We're working with large and small companies in our technology council to provide resources for them to grow, build connectivity to each other, to a peer network, a professional network, hear great programming, great speakers. So just kind of looking broadly across our technology and biotech sectors on how we can help elevate.
Nice. And part of that is the work that RAMP is doing. Lisa?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Aaron, for that entry into RAMP and the kinds of things we're doing, we're a business accelerator particularly geared towards working with tech and biotech startups. And when people think of business accelerators, you often think of business services and wraparound support. One of the ways that we accelerate businesses is making sure they meet the right people in the region. So again, the alliance with the entities at Verge, including RBTC, gives our tech entrepreneurs a place to land where they immediately have this community of connectivity. And then we amp that up and elevate it to the state level and the federal level with all types of access to funding resources and coaching regionally on how to access those sources. So we're really working to make sure that the entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs, have a connection and a connectivity here that they might not get anywhere else, actually.
Lovely. So where does the nonprofit piece come into play here? Because, other organizations, they rely, when you say nonprofit, you're usually thinking about, relying on donations or sponsorships or grants to operate. And I guess that's kind of how you guys operate as well in a different fashion.
Yeah, we have a 501c3 and a 501c6. So under our 501c3, our accelerator RAMP sits under that part of our portfolio, which is mostly funded by federal, state, and local grants. So in order to be eligible for those grants, you have to have that nonprofit tech status.
Right.
So it's really important to keep the accelerator up and going and to
So what did the grants fund as far as a RAMP?
So for RAMP in particular, all the types of operations that we need are funded by nonprofit dollars. That perhaps is an unexpected vehicle in an atmosphere that is all oriented around business. But it works very well. Mm-hmm. So we get funding from the Commonwealth of Virginia, the federal government through the EDA, and the kinds of activities we're doing in addition to the cohort experience for tech startups. We do mentoring and coaching for individual companies. We do a thing called Pitch and Polish, where entrepreneurs from anywhere are welcome to come into a virtual setting, pitch their idea or company, and get feedback from coaches and mentors in the region. They're really subject matter experts around this space. And then we coordinate funding and invitation-only events with funders in the regional and the state and the federal levels. We're a coordinating body in that respect for individuals, companies, and all the people in the innovation ecosystem that are working towards the same thing, which is economic development and professional development in this space in the region. Mm-hmm. So at some level, Verge, RBTC, and RAMP act as coordinating bodies. There are many, but we are the Alliance is one of those bodies where some of that coordination happens. I know Aaron's done a lot of work of bringing people together and in some cases even breaking down walls where there had not been as much connectivity and now there's more connection.
Well, it's interesting because, when you're working with companies that are building a product or a widget or something to sell out in the marketplace, like most for-profits, but you yourselves aren't doing that. You're kind of acting more like a nonprofit as far as trying to create value that people want to support, whether it's a sponsor coming on with a sponsorship or a foundation with a grant, or somebody just making a straight up donation.
Yeah, in my work with nonprofits over the years, which I've had a number of years and worked with a number of different nonprofits, I sometimes cringe at the term nonprofit.
Yeah, right.
I think that both for donors and staff and employees and people in and around nonprofit organizations, they get this mental model in their heads that they're not really supposed to be about money. But money is an enabling piece of all the things that we want to do, whether it's economic development, what we do here at RAMP and RBTC and Valley's Innovation Council, all those entities have to have money,
sure.
Right? So there are a lot of ways to define profit, and there's social profit and there's financial profits. And we definitely bring profit to the region, and we definitely bring in money from a variety of sources to do that. So we're going to get really creative, I think, in the coming years about creating revenue streams for our nonprofit. Doesn't mean that you're making a money grab in any sort of way, but in order to sustain, create a like a business, a sustainable, scalable, repeatable model for this organization. We have to think like a business in some respects too. So
at the same time, I always get very defensive when it comes to nonprofits because, there's no money to be made in giving someone a home who's homeless. Or there's no money to be made in, providing food for somebody who doesn't have food. Sorry, but there is a social
absolutely.
capital,
It's a social
profit there that I think sometimes gets overlooked for the financial profit in our society.
Yeah, we're helping to provide high-paying jobs. I mean, that's what, as our startup companies grow, the wage that you would make in tech and biotech is quite a bit higher than some other sectors. So helping to diversify our economy in the Roanoke and New River Valleys and offer more financial opportunities and jobs and business investment for people to have those jobs.
Yeah, and going back to this term of nonprofit, in other countries they're not called that. They're called NGOs, right? Non-governmental organizations. So again, just the lexicon, the way, the mental model that we look at nonprofits, even, I just kind of cringe at that people think very quickly when they hear a word. They associate, and there's the connotation, as you know, Michael, and there's the denotation. And I don't want people to fall into a mental model and think they understand. So to Aaron's point, a lot of what we do is socially profitable. The more that we can have companies come here and grow, they're going to provide jobs at every level, and in some really roundabout fashion, that does address food insecurity and job insecurity in rural Southwest Virginia. RAMP's really working hard to expand its geographic reach to regions 1, 2, and 3. And we're collaborating with a variety of organizations, including right here in Roanoke, Virginia Western Community College, to expose some of their students to entrepreneurship. And we're getting them really excited about that right here in the Gill Memorial Building. In November, we'll have 2 cohorts going through. That doesn't really directly relate to the RAMP cohort experience, but we're starting we're feeding that pipeline of entrepreneurship in the region.
Love it. And we're going to, later on, I want to talk about the cohorts for people who aren't familiar with that.
Sure.
But let me take a moment to reintroduce everyone. Joined here on Buzz for Good by Aaron Burcham, President of Verge and Executive Director of the Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council, Lisa Garcia, the newly appointed Vice President of Entrepreneurial Development of Verge and the Director of RAMP, and someone we haven't heard from yet, but we're going to now, drumroll, Taylor Spellman, who is the Associate Director of the Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council. Taylor, many people who are at least familiar with the Roanoke-Blacksburg Technology Council are probably aware of your outward-facing programs. Like just last night, we were down at Big Look Brewery enjoying beer and biotech. I believe y'all have an event tonight or tomorrow night. That's another kind of public event for your membership to come to talk briefly about all of the public events that you have. And then I want to talk about what are some of the things that you're doing behind the scenes that perhaps people aren't aware of.
Yeah, definitely. So the RBTC has been around in our region for many years. It's established in 1998 and has really grown to be a phenomenal resource for our members, for the ecosystem as a whole, and the innovation and technology community. So we've got a series of about 7 different forums and events that the RBTC puts on regularly. And really, it's just to connect the ecosystem, to provide some really high quality engagement and opportunities for folks to get together, learn about best practices, trends within the industry, but really engaging a vibrant technology community. Some of the events that we do, like you mentioned, beer and biotech, with biotech becoming an emerging cluster in our region, we are showcasing our immediate communities, the Roanoke and the New River Valleys, what that looks like and how that's going to translate to our community. But we're also building ambassadors and educating people on their role and what that looks like for the future of this community for their businesses. So Beer and Biotech is a series that's been really popular for members and non-members, right? Come out and enjoy beer and learn about a really engaging topic.
It's good that you lead with the beer.
That's right.
Right. Okay. It's not biotech and beer. It's beer and biotech. Okay.
Of course. It's marketing, right? We've got a great Tech and Toast series where that one kind of kicks off in the morning, and in the past has been kind of a favorite, and naturally and very authentically connecting people to opportunities, whether that's finding, your next professional opportunity, your career path, or showcasing a new business. Or our most recent speaker, Martin Angst with Render, presented. He's an entrepreneur from the area, or from Virginia Tech, who built his business here and raised, almost $1 million in a Kickstarter campaign.
Went through the RAMP program.
That's right.
And he has developed a
laser
laser cutter.
That's right. And it's portable. So people just doing extravagant and amazing things here. And Tech and Toast provides that platform to talk about it and really engage the broader tech community. We've got an amazing Women in Technology group that's led by a committee of our members. And that really supports the village of career-focused women within technology, and the allies in supporting them. So a lot of the things that we're doing are really coming back to fostering a community and supporting that.
And that's in part because historically, women have not been as represented in the technology space as they have in the general population. Is that safe to say?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting, right? There's kind of these data points and statistics of women and STEM, but it's becoming, technology is so prevalent in all of our careers and in everything that we do that I think there's this, in my own opinion, this mental vision that you have of a scientist or a technologist. And it's really, about creating awareness and showing in a very intentional way that women are in technology, and it's a totally viable, strong path to go on. So more just making it more accessible, right, to women. Some of the things that we're doing behind the scenes, Michael, you asked, as a natural fit to our organization and the members that make up our organization in the RBTC, we range from brand new kind of startups to some of our cohort members from RAMP who join the RBTC and might have smaller teams, all the way up to teams with hundreds of employees. And the stories that these organizations have, and the products and the technology, the innovation and the research that they're doing in these organizations is really incredible for Roanoke, but certainly for this side of the country and in our country. So one of the things we do at the RBTC is really try to elevate those stories. We want to continue to be an information broker for the innovation and the technology that's happening here, so that it helps elevate and support the efforts happening across our region to bring talent and economic development and opportunity.
Lovely. Thank you. Lisa, let me go over to you and kind of ask you the same thing. Lisa Garcia, who's the Vice President of Entrepreneurial Development, Verge, and the Director of RAMP. So your work with RAMP, the outward-facing program is, of course, the cohort that is offered twice a year. It's a 12-week program for entrepreneurs who have started a company and now they're ready to really accelerate. And so it's a very intensive 12-week program where entrepreneurs will receive free office space here in the Gill Building in downtown Roanoke, with all the services that come with that office space. They also get $20,000 in non-equity funding, plus some really incredible one-to-one mentorship from some of the business leaders throughout the region. And that's offered twice a year, and I guess I should say that right now applications are open for the fall cohort. Go to RAMP's website, ramprb.tech. But what are some of the behind-the-scenes work that you're doing that keeps you busy day in and day out?
So we do, again, a lot of coordination between different partners around Southwest Virginia around this kind of work. So I've had the opportunity just recently. I'm going to look at my calendar. This is day 21 that I'm in this seat. So it's early on, but today was back-to-back meetings with a variety of people and a variety of spaces. But
could you share not necessarily the individual names, but kind of the type of work that you've been talking about today?
So I've had the opportunity to participate in a actually around something you might be interested in, Michael,
Okay.
for all the people that are listening and interested in this kind of work, nonprofit work. My colleague, Sarah Spotswood, who is now the managing director of RAMP, and I were on a call with an entity called GAN, which is the Global Accelerator Network. And some of our folks that we work with in the Commonwealth of Virginia were on that call, but as well as leadership for nonprofit accelerators all around the world.
Wow.
And one of the keynote speakers was from Virginia, so I was pretty proud of that. But basically what we were discussing today was impact reporting.
Okay.
How does a nonprofit, in this
Right.
case, it's an accelerator, but how do you quantify and how do you report out the impact that you're having? So it's getting more complicated in some respect. And so I think we had this conversation the other day around how do you count job creation, for instance, because now, Michael and I, we have daughters and our son the same age, right?
Yeah.
So they're graduating college, they're going out in the world and they're getting jobs during the pandemic or post-pandemic, and they can live anywhere in the world, right?
Yep.
And they can, in our case, our children are doing journalism, right? So they can sit at a computer and do that work anywhere in the world, but they may be working for an entity that's address is in New York City or something of that nature, right? So
Should that person get counted as an employee of New York Accelerator? Or
so how do we count impact when we're creating companies here and they're creating jobs, but maybe some of those physical people live in another community.
Yeah.
So the impact reporting, I think, is going to take a bigger and bigger profile. And so that was something that I was working on today and it's something we have to be very mindful of. Is making an impact here in the region. And how do you define impact? So that's just one thing. We're also having calls with leadership at Carillion, Fralin Biomedical Research Institute, all around the life and health sciences and biotech innovation ecosystem that is already here, but it's being built out and grown.
And the connection there for people who may not be aware, like one of the most recent RAMP cohort alums came from a spinoff from the Fralin Biomedical Research Institute.
Yeah. And so one of the conversations I was having was maybe another lead in that area and another connection to an internationally known laboratory through Johnson & Johnson. So we have connectivity right here in our region and a pipeline for companies in biotech to connect them to international companies that are fostering, have a nonprofit arm. It's a major company making, multi-billion-dollar company that has a nonprofit aspect to it to foster entrepreneurship in biotech, right? So we're RAMP and Verge, we really look at our team as one team, an alliance of RAMP and RBTC and Verge and Valley's Innovation Council. And our board is huge because we have a lot of people working on this as one team, and the team's working towards doing all of this kind of work, this connection, right?
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Is this a good point to talk about the Roanoke Biotech Lab?
Sure. Yeah, we'd love to. So the Roanoke Biotech Project was a collaborative between the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center, the City of Roanoke, Fralin Biomedical Research Institute, Verge, RBTC, RAMP, and Virginia Western Community College. So this project is fulfilling a need for wet lab, dry lab space for the region. So out of Dr. Michael Freelander's shop at Fralin Biomedical, he was having research teams who were ready to commercialize, and in a land-grant university building, you cannot commercialize. So they needed a new home, and they needed affordable wet lab space especially.
Explain wet lab versus
Sure.
dry lab.
So think about a chemistry situation where you would have a table, a bench. You need water. You need a fume hood. You need very specific things to do, think biology type experiments, chemistry. So it has to be set up in a fashion. You can't do this type of work in your kitchen, especially the different levels. It's called BSL, different levels of risk associated with with the work that they're doing.
Okay.
So it needs to be in a controlled environment. So to outfit a wet lab is very expensive. So for entrepreneurs who would like to do this type of work, it's very expensive to outfit their own space. So to have affordable shared space is very enticing to get them off the ground. So it's kind of a starting place for commercialized labs in Roanoke. We're also looking at Blacksburg too. We worked on a Go Virginia grant to do a pilot project in the Corporate Research Center as part of Co-Grove, the co-working space in Blacksburg. So the Roanoke Biotech specifically is we were awarded $15.7 million through the General Assembly for infrastructure. So we'll be remodeling an existing building in the Innovation Corridor. Then a $10 million match. Part of that is a physical building that is donated into the project. Programming, we're looking at a foundational level. How do we look at frontline talent for biotech all the way through the PhD level, and how this project can help to create a pool of talent in the region. So working very closely with Amy White on this side of the project. Amy White's the Dean of STEM at Virginia Western Community College. So she just formalized a biotech 2-year degree, and she's working closely with universities in the region to look at a 4-year completion degree. So really setting the stage for the multi-levels of education needed. A model that we've really focused on is that Amy White talks about a whole lot is 1 PhD needs 2 4-year degree level professionals and 7 2-year degree professionals. Wow. So thinking about how many frontline staff a PhD who's leading a company needs, let's say, we need to look at the ratio and think about how we can support the pipeline coming out of our K through 12 system. And there's all kinds of very foundational level projects within the bigger project, thinking about how we really launch a sector in our region. Biotech, we have strong higher ed assets, but it isn't a formalized sector really yet. So it's coming, and the higher ed assets are fueling the need for the commercialized side. Carilion Clinic also is working really heavily in innovation, working with their physicians and their different research teams internally to commercialize their research. So yeah, lots of need for this type of space, and we're part of a statewide network through the BioConnect project through Virginia Business or Virginia Bio, and looking at statewide of lots of partners. Last night at Beer and Biotech, we had Amy Adams, who leads the biotech program for George Mason University. She's been an instrumental player in our project, helping. She's shared her playbook. Tom Flynn, the director of economic development in Prince William County, has helped us really lay out a plan on how to launch biotech. They are a few years ahead of us, but they have been great in sharing their playbook on how they got it off the ground in Prince William County and how we can. Working with Nikki Hastings and Charlottesville. So working with different partners around the state to figure out how more established markets have launched biotech. So
well, it's amazing when I moved here 25 years ago to Roanoke, and at the time, there is no Virginia Tech Carilion Research Institute. There's a Victory Stadium still in place on that site, and nothing else there. I mean, there was still all this competition between Roanoke and the New River Valley, and no collaboration whatsoever. And now to see, and I think probably the work that Roanoke Blacksburg Technology Council has done over the years has been vital in bringing the two together, along with Carilion and Virginia Tech. So it's cool to see what all has happened over the last 25 years. I'm excited to see what's going forward. Let me take a quick moment to reintroduce everybody here. For those just tuning in, we're here with Erin Burcham, who is the president of Verge, along with Lisa Garcia, the vice president of entrepreneurial development for Verge and the director of RAMP, the regional accelerator for small businesses and entrepreneurs, and then Taylor Spellman, the associate director of the Roanoke Blacksburg Technology Council. And not joining us here is Jackie Lackey, newly hired as the vice president of programs for Verge. And I am struck by the fact that the 4 leaders of all of this work are women. And we were talking earlier about how there's an actual unique program from RBTC called WOTEC, which is Women in Technology. How did this come about? What are your thoughts on, this organization being led by all women?
Yeah, I mean, we did searches for all the positions, and the candidates that rose to the top were females. I mean, we want to include men too. We very much a fan of men, but just how it happened, the people that were most skilled for these positions were women. The nice thing it provides is this group is very collaborative, very intentional on. We're all very passionate about building the tech and biotech sectors, very passionate about entrepreneurs. Just being really intentional on how we can wrap our arms around this ecosystem and help to grow it as females in our leadership journey, supporting each other in the region.
I will say that we do have a job candidate and an offer out to our first male to join the team.
All men are welcome to apply.
Yes, on a project basis. And that really, speaking only for myself, I certainly would not be in the seat in the role I am right now without great leadership, mentorship, and friendship by many, many men along my professional journey, and women as well, but maybe more so men because I have such a deep interest in technology and those spaces. Most of the rooms that I have sat in over the years, I've been the only woman. So for me to be included, trusted, engaged, meant a lot of men had to be willing to do that, and they have continued to be. So it's been a fantastic journey in that way. That said, there are particular challenges of being a woman in this space, and I know I'll never forget this. We had one female entrepreneur that was talking about doing a pitch, which is a very big part of being an entrepreneur, pitching to potential investors in New York City. And the feedback she got from one of them was, "You'd do better and you'd look better if you wore some makeup." She had a PhD in blockchain technology, and intellectually was probably the smartest person in the room, and the feedback had to do with makeup. So I think it would be ignorant of us as women not to recognize that there are particular challenges or for both men and women in the workspace, and that we as a team, I think, are mindful of that. And so our programming and our coaching and our mentoring makes sure that we customize, and that's kind of what you don't see, that's behind the scenes, that when somebody comes here, we make sure to understand what their pain points are, and then we match. Then we go find resources so that person can be as successful as they can be in the space. And that, in the case of some of the men, we have some that maybe, they need to pitch or they need to network or do those kinds of things, and they may have spent 8, 10, 12 hours a day in a laboratory with their lab coat on and the door shut, and the thought of going out and meeting people and talking to them like that is their worst nightmare, quite honestly. And I have had a chemical engineer in the region, not at RAMP, but for some other consulting work I was doing, and talking about going out and doing customer discovery, which we teach and preach here. And he held up his hand and said, "I quit," and left. Right. So everybody has particular challenges around doing this work. And what I think we really strive to do, and we talk about a lot in the office around this work, is who can help? Who can help? Here's the challenge. Who can help? And it is an all hands on deck kind of effort. And that's been really gratifying to see, because this group of women is very well connected. I think not to toot our own horns too much, but I would say well respected and well regarded and trusted in the region, in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And so when they pick up the phone or they send an email, they get a reply. So I feel like we're well positioned and poised in this region to help entrepreneurs find that person that can answer that question or can solve that problem.
Nicely phrased. You mentioned though that women have unique challenges, but I would also suggest that women have unique skill sets when it comes to leadership roles. I mean, I look back on my career, and most of my bosses have been women. Certainly most of my good bosses have been women. And I have found a I hope this isn't meant to be a stereotype, but more of a collaborative, less ego, more end goal desire with women being the boss. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, that's my passion space, is to find everyone's strengths and where we intersect and how we come together, whether it's inside of our organization or, with external partners to help to elevate the work that we do. So yes, I agree. I mean, we work with many men that are very collaborative. I mean, on our team, Brett Malone from the Corporate Research Center, Mark Nelson from the City of Roanoke Economic Development. I mean, there's some very collaborative men who are newer to leadership roles in the region, who are helping to drive it forward too. So, but yes, I agree.
Okay.
As our team is evolving and growing, we want to make sure that we're being very collaborative.
Well, speaking of evolving and growing, what's the future for Verge, for RAMP, for RBTC? What's the next big thing?
I mean, we are involved in multiple large super regional projects. So we are working closely with Virginia Tech on the federal EDA Build Back Better project, which is focused on autonomous systems, electric vehicles, and automation within manufacturing. So just figuring out how we can help to advocate for infrastructure for entrepreneurs, how we can help to elevate the services, the programming. For Tech Council, thinking about even more robust programming, just being very intentional on the ways that we engage them in the region. The sky's kind of the limit. This region's on fire for tech and biotech, and we're sitting in the middle of it. So as the region grows and these big projects launch, I just see our team growing and expanding and meeting the needs of the ecosystem.
Wow. Well, Aaron Burgum, Lisa Garcia, Taylor Spellman, thank you all so much for coming on Buzz for Good and sharing about all the great work that Verge and Roanoke Blacksburg Technology Council and RAMP are doing to elevate the entrepreneurial and tech ecosystem in Southwest Virginia. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was my conversation with the leadership of Verge and Roanoke Blacksburg Technology Council and RAMP. And Carrie, it's time for your marketing moment here on the show. You are in the unique position of actually doing the marketing for Verge and RBTC. And in addition to that, you have a lot of other nonprofit clients. What are the differences and similarities between the two types of nonprofits that we are, for instance, featuring on today's show?
So really the key difference is a charitable nonprofit versus a nonprofit that really isn't based in charity work. So RAMP and RBTC aren't really charitable organizations, but they are nonprofits. They do serve the community, they work with the community, and they do accept donations to help create and facilitate all kinds of programming that's available to the public.
Right. So how does that impact your work promoting them?
Because it's a really different audience, right?
Right.
So with charitable work, a lot of your audience is someone who is probably going to donate or receive a donation.
And maybe you're appealing to their heartstrings a little bit?
100%.
Yeah.
With a programming type nonprofit, what you're really appealing to is, I want to be a part of that. I want to learn something here. I want to do something. I want to participate in the programming that's happening.
Right.
And with RBTC and RAMP, that's a wide range of programming, from startups who are learning to pitch their product and what they do to actually accelerating their business, or through RBTC, where they're networking with other technology and innovation professionals within their peer group throughout Roanoke and Blacksburg.
Okay.
So it really is a very different audience, because it's one is an emotional kind of, I want to help audience.
Yep.
And the other is I want to facilitate my own learning, my own career, my own self or business, and figure out how to be better at that. So two different audiences, but a lot of common themes.
Gotcha. So you're focusing a lot on the programs, as well as putting the viewer in those programs and letting them experience kind of virtually, so that in hopes that they'll want to be there physically.
Exactly. It is
Yeah.
connecting the individuals to the wealth of programming that's available for them in the startup to technology to corporate space.
And of course, also then promoting all of the great things that come out of those collaborations and programs.
Right, because there's so much that you might not think about. Like, think about, just for instance, how many times you touch technology every day. And that's people's jobs. And so there are just a ton of people in this area in particular that are connected to that technology and either want to grow their product or service or learn how to grow that product or service.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, before we pivot to Mill Mountain Zoo and its 70th birthday, I invite you one more time to our 3 upcoming events, which are all free and open to the public. This Wednesday, July 27, 7 p.m., our newest episode of Buzz airs on Blue Ridge PBS, featuring the healing arts. And in that episode, we are featuring Carillion Clinic, Roanoke Symphony, Brandon Oaks Retirement Home, Southwest Virginia Ballet, Tallman Museum of Art, 5 Points Music Sanctuary, on and on. It's a great episode that we're producing in partnership with Carillion and the Roanoke Cultural Endowment and the City of Roanoke. That episode, again, airs this Wednesday, July 27th at 7 p.m., and we are hosting a free watch party at the Grandin Theater that night at 6:30 p.m. The following Wednesday, August 3rd, 4 p.m., you can celebrate with us the start of our 3rd season of Buzz with our Buzz Happy Hour at Old Salem Brewery on Market Street in downtown Roanoke. $1 per beer goes towards the production of future episodes. And then the following week, August 10th at 7 p.m., we kick off our 3rd season of Buzz on Blue Ridge PBS with a special hour-long episode starring the Grandin Theater Film Lab. And the night before, August 9th, we will be hosting a sneak peek watch party at the Grandin Theater on this episode. Again, find out about these events and everything else associated with Buzz on our website, buzzforgood.com, BUZZ4good.com, as well as our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube at Buzz for Good. Now, on episode 3 of our TV show Buzz, which aired way back in August 2020 on PBS, we featured Mill Mountain Zoo. You can find that episode on our website under episodes, buzzforgood.com, as well as our YouTube channel at Buzz for Good. And at the time, Mill Mountain Zoo was experiencing a bit of an identity crisis because they really felt like the word zoo didn't reflect anymore their mission of really trying to be a wildlife refuge for animals native to Southwest Virginia. This summer, Mill Mountain Zoo celebrates its 70th birthday, so I thought it was a good time to catch up with the executive director, Nikki Voudrin, to see where the zoo is at 70. Nikki Voudrin, executive director of Mill Mountain Zoo, welcome to Buzz for Good, and happy birthday. Tell me, 70th birthday of Mill Mountain Zoo, Roanoke icon. What are some of the events that you have coming up that people can attend to help celebrate with you guys?
So we turned 70 on July 4th, and we kicked it off with Zubilee, Platinum Zubilee, which was 2 Saturdays ago. A kid-friendly event, fun for the entire family. It was a huge success. And the next big event and celebration of our 70th, we're bringing back the Zoo-Doo. I don't know if you remember Zoo-Doo. Yeah, it was wildly popular, and that will be on October 1st.
Okay, well, for those who don't know about Zoo-Doo, what is it?
Zoo-Doo is an adult-friendly event. Certainly you can bring the family, but it's going to be on October 1st from 5:30 to 9:30. We're going to have area chefs preparing different meals. We've got Taza on the books. We're going to have wine by Seven Doors Winery and Prosecco. We're going to have beer and lots of fun adult games, scavenger hunts, trivia games. We'll have a photo booth. And of course, the biggest hits of Zoo-Doo will be visiting with our resident animals.
Love it. All right, so that's October 1st. I imagine that you could go to your website, mmz.org, to find out more.
Well, part of our big 70-year anniversary and launch and all the new and exciting changes at Mill Mountain Zoo is we are launching a new website. Probably sometime in August. So that's in the works, and certainly people will be able to register for Zoodoo on our current website. And I encourage you to look at the site that's up now so that you can see the incredible improvements when we launch in August.
Well, now, is it a new website domain name altogether?
We're not changing the domain name. It's just mmzoo.org.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, I think the last time that we visited with you was when we were doing our Buzz episode on Mill Mountain Zoo way back, hard to believe, almost 2 years ago now.
Right.
In August of 2020. And at that time, there were, some folks, your former board president, David Robertson, and others were expressing kind of a bit of an identity crisis because felt as though like the word zoo didn't fully capture all the fantastic work that you guys are doing up on Mill Mountain. Where does that stand now? Because you were part of that episode too.
Right. And I was part of the committee who worked on the brand and name change. We ultimately decided not to change the name of the zoo because we are a beloved icon. We've been here 70 years. And while the word zoo does have a negative connotation, it's a serious term in the industry. And we're not going to shy away from zoology, which is the study of science and animals.
Yeah.
And so we are keeping the name, but changing the brand, which makes things a lot easier on us. But I think the new logo is more representative of the serious side of the work we do at the zoo.
Well, for a listening audience, can you explain what the new logo looks like and how it captures that?
Right. Okay. Well, the new logo, we're using the new logo in the 70-year anniversary logo for this next year. And then, so the logo is gorgeous. It has a bunch of different tones of blue. We have the Blue Ridge Mountains in the background of the logo. They're actually the shape of, the mountains around the valley. And because we were one of 42 zoos selected in the country to house critically endangered red wolves, we have a silhouette of a red wolf in the logo, and it's perfectly created by WordSprint. And then in addition to the wolf, there's an eagle in the background. Both species are native to the area, and we are going forward in our master facility plan and strategic plan, we will be introducing more native species to the zoo. So that's why we selected the wolf and the eagle for the logo.
Well, that sounds lovely. For those who don't know, WordSprint was the marketing company that we invited in on that TV show to help with the rebranding of Mill Mountain Zoo. They did a fabulous job, and I know it sounds like you've been working with them since then to kind of refine your vision for the zoo. And the thing like the former logo maybe spoke more to kids. Is that safe to say? And as far as a place to come and have fun, as opposed to kind of a slightly more educational, adult-oriented logo of, hey, this is the serious work that we're doing up here to protect native species and allow you to come and learn about them.
Correct. So our old logo is more of a kid-friendly. It's got the googly eyes, and it's representative of when the zoo was first launched in 1952 as a kids-themed, nursery rhyme theme type of zoo. So we've definitely matured over the 70 years. We're providing opportunities for research and industry. We're only housing critically endangered, vulnerable, threatened, and non-releasable animals due to unrelinquishment, the exotic pet trade, and injury. So all of the animals in our guardianship are here for the right reasons. We are a serious operation here on the mountain, but it's also fun.
Right.
So, our part of our new brand change is a new tagline, which is conservation, education, destination. And those three words encompass our mission, because we do have a robust education program going on at the zoo. We always have, but I don't think everybody realizes all of the work we're doing in education and wildlife conservation.
Well, and speaking of that, if you haven't been to the zoo to see the new black bear habitat, go now, because it is wonderful.
Well, and Michael, since you've been here, we have completely renovated 2 exhibits. So we essentially have 2 new 5,000 square foot exhibits. One houses the American black bear, and the other will house red wolves. Our oldest red wolf, Agro, passed away recently. She was 15 years old. She well outlived the typical lifespan of that species. So now, while we mourn the loss of Agro, her exhibit sits empty while we prepare to move other red wolves into that exhibit.
Wonderful, wonderful. Once again, talking with Nikki Boudrin, Executive Director of Mill Mountain Zoo, celebrating its 70th birthday this year. You mentioned the Zoo Do happening on October 1st. Any other events that you want people to know about celebrating the 70th?
We'll be launching a bunch of specials starting Saturday, a bunch of specials that will be things people don't want to miss out on: concession specials, gift shop specials, admissions specials. But also what you'll notice when you come back to the zoo, if you haven't been in a few months, is that we've completely painted all of our buildings. And this is part of our brand shift. So all of our buildings were orange and green. They were terrible colors. They weren't very naturalistic. They weren't very soothing colors. And now every building is taupe and navy, which goes really nicely with our new logo. And it just softens everything, and it helps the buildings not stand out so much, because we are set on this gorgeous mountain, and the scenery and the animals is what we want to put forward, not the old buildings.
Right.
So in addition to that, we are renovating our reptile house and wood turtle house. So the wood turtle house will turn into a python house, and that's happening now. And then we secured funding to renovate the reptile house. So those things will all be happening going into fall. In addition, we are creating a new playground sponsored by Caroline Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And so that will also be happening this fall.
Wow, a lot happening up there. Kind of to close things out here, what is the significance of Mill Mountain Zoo to the region now and moving forward?
The significance of Mill Mountain Zoo to the region is education on wildlife conservation and how it begins in your backyard with these native species. Since the word zoo does have a negative connotation, we really want to make sure people understand the important work we're doing. And above and beyond that, we are an iconic gym on the top of this beautiful mountain with 360-degree views. We've been here 70 years in the city. It's a very unique location, how we use the natural landscape around our exhibit space. And we are a nonprofit organization, so we really need the community's support, whether it's coming to visit us on a regular basis, joining as members, or making donations. Only 50% of our budget is met through admissions, concessions, and gift shops. So, and it costs $3,000 a day to care for our animals 24/7, 365. So we really need the community to support us and all of the changes and growth that we're going through, so that we can keep bringing in animals that need our protection.
Outstanding. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for joining us here on Buzz for Good. Happy birthday to Mill Mountain Zoo, and all tuning in. Please go and support Mill Mountain Zoo at mmz.org, as well as in person, to help them celebrate the 70th birthday as well. Thanks so much, Nikki.
Thank you, Michael.
So happy birthday, Mill Mountain Zoo. And one last time, we invite you to celebrate Buzz's birthday in the coming days as we wrap up season 2 of our TV show this Wednesday, July 27th, 7 p.m. We'll be featuring our newest episode of Buzz on Blue Ridge PBS, starring the healing arts in the Roanoke Valley. We are hosting a watch party that evening at the Grandin Theater starting at 6:30 p.m. The following Wednesday, August 3rd, 4 p.m., you can celebrate the start of our 3rd season with a Buzz Happy Hour at Old Salem Brewery on Market Street in downtown Roanoke. And then the following week, August 10th, 7 p.m., we will kick off our 3rd season of Buzz with a special hour-long episode on Blue Ridge PBS starring the Grandin Theater Film Lab. And the night before, on August 9th, we will be hosting a sneak peek watch party at the Grandin Theater. We hope that you will join us at all of these events, more at buzzforgood.com. Until then, I hope that you keep being a buzz for good in your community, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week.